The mirror tilts to now. You wake beneath a mirror you never chose. It tilts toward the moment within reach, flooding your eyes with now until the future looks pale, faint, and negotiable. You call this free will. The mirror calls it gravity. Rule 1. The present outweighs the future. Present bias. You are wired to crave rewards you can taste today over rewards you can only imagine tomorrow. The brain discounts delay in steep curves that make later feel fragile and cheap. That is why the same person who swears to value health at night chooses the pastry in the morning. The taste is real, and the risk is vapor. You vow to start next week, save next month, change next year, because the mirror magnifies the immediate and shrinks the distant. This is not laziness. It is calibration. When reward drifts too far, motivation fades unless you drag it close by making it visible, countable, concrete, embodied. Without that conversion, the future is always underpaid and the present always overfunded. Rule 2. Feelings vote first. Reason arrives later. Affect heuristic. Before you open the door to a thought, emotion has already entered, rearranged the furniture, and dimmed or brightened the lights. You think you decide by evidence. Most days you decide by atmosphere. If a task feels sharp, cold, humiliating, your nervous system marks it as threat and your body obeys with retreat. If it feels warm, familiar, flattering, you label it right, even when it is only easy. Emotion is not the enemy. It is the bouncer. It admits what feels safe and bars what feels dangerous, regardless of facts. To change the decision, you must often change the feeling. Shrink the task, soften the entry. Make the first inch kind so the rest can follow. Rule 3. Attention is a narrow spotlight. Easily hijacked, salience, and working memory. You do not see the world. You see the slice lit by a lamp that tires quickly and juggles only a few objects at once. What is bright, novel, uncertain, or loud steals the beam. What is slow, cumulative, and unglamorous? The compounding practice, the repetition stays hidden. The mirror prefers glitter. Some news feeds win over notebooks, pings over plans, emergencies over priorities. Your working memory can hold only a handful of items. The fifth one falls, and with it your intention. Unless you rig the room to hold the lamp steady, fewer doors, fewer cues, fewer shiny things, the spotlight will always drift to someone else's script. Breathe. Notice how these 3 laws mesh like gears inside the mirror's frame. Present bias leans the glass forward. The effect heuristic tints it. The spotlight narrows it. Together, they create the illusion that the easiest path is the truest path. You call the illusion comfort. It calls you predictable. You fight the mirror with slogans, discipline, willpower, try harder. But slogans are paper shields in a house where the wind has already chosen its direction. The tilt remains. The tint remains. The spotlight remains. Unless you place counterweights on the frame, the picture does not change. No matter how hard you stare, there is a way to bend the mirror back. Make the future bodily. Pre-commit, pay early. Set a date that costs to break. Make the hard task emotionally safe. Pair the first moments with warmth. Shrink the threat until the guard dog yawns. Trap your attention on one thing long enough to pierce the glitter. Close doors, block noise, limit choices, steady the beam. These are not tricks. They are physics. You are not weak. You are unweighted. But tonight is not for comfort. Tonight is for truth. Your delays were not sins. They were mechanical outcomes. The mirror was tilted long before you learned your name, long before you held a phone, long before anyone told you to just focus. If that is true, if the rules shaping you are older than you, then answer without blinking. When you postpone the life you say you want, is it truly you who chooses, or only the mirror choosing through you? The mirror worships the familiar. You believe you choose from countless lives. Mostly, you choose from habit, because the mirror has leaned the same way for years and renamed that angle home. What you repeat becomes furniture. What you avoid becomes weather. It feels safer to sit than to step outside safer, but not the same as living. Rule 4. The status quo feels safer than it is status quo bias. Your mind treats the current setup as safety, even when it numbs you. Switching paths requires prediction, and prediction invites uncertainty, and uncertainty feels like falling. So you stay in the major you dislike, the job that dulls you, the routine that erases you because moving invites blame, while staying disguises risk as prudence. The mirror adores stillness. It can keep reflecting the same you without redrawing your edges. Rule 5. Losses loom larger than gains. Loss aversion. When you picture change, you don't feel the upside. You feel the ache of what could vanish: status, time already sunk, familiarity, even your story of self. $50 leaving hurts more than $50 entering delights you. The same asymmetry steers your life. Because the mirror amplifies subtraction, you design days to dodge losses instead of chasing meaning. You hold what you don't love. You defend what no longer serves you, because letting go feels like injury, while clinging feels like care. Rule 6. Ownership distorts value. Endowment effect. The moment something feels yours, its value swells. An old Coke becomes priceless. Outdated software becomes our way. You confuse familiarity with worth, continuity with wisdom. Projects you should finish or abandon become relics you polish instead. You overprice your drafts, routines, and beliefs, not because they're best, but because they are yours. That's why clearing a calendar feels like amputation. The mirror frames possessions and habits in golden glass and dares you to break it. You are not lazy. You are loyal to ghosts. The status quo wears your face and begs protection from the weather. Loss aversion drags your eyes to graves you haven't dug. The endowment effect sews your initials into every habit, every folder, every chair. So months stack like empty boxes, labeled later, soon, when things calm down. There is an exit, but the toll is the currency your nervous system fears: acute discomfort. Tax stay with small losses, public commitments. Deposits forfeited, deadlines that bite. Subsidize. Go with small wins. Allies, templates, a first 5 minutes so kind the guard dog of fear falls asleep. Make different the default. Make same the choice that requires effort. Put the mirror on a hinge so turning feels easier than standing still. Call things by true names. I'm not ready to leave often means I fear the pain of letting go. This system works often means this is the system I know. I'm being careful often means I'm being controlled by losses. Speak it clearly and the spell thins. Speak it clearly and the floor tilts toward action. Because if the familiar is only a photograph, why are you living inside a picture frame? The future wears a stranger's face. You speak to tomorrow as if it were you, only with better lighting. It isn't. Tomorrow is a stranger who does not share your appetite, your mood, or your pain threshold. The mirror teaches you to trust the present narrator and outsource the hard scenes to a future actor. The problem is that the actor never arrives in costume. Rule 7. You discount the distant in curves, not lines, hyperbolic discounting. The farther a reward or cost, the more steeply your brain cuts its weight until later collapses into never. A goal due next year feels like a hill. The same goal due tonight feels like a cliff. That is why you register for classes months early, then skip them when the day comes. The curve deceives. To resist it, bend the curve back. Split faraway outcomes into near payable fragments. Replace someday with milestones on the calendar. Turn abstract gains into tokens you can count, touch, and see. Rule 8. You misread yourself across emotional weather, hot-cold empathy gap. In a calm state, you plan for a calm self. In distress, you obey a distressed self. Each state underestimates the other's force. You promise you'll just say no, then hear your mouth say yes, because the room, the faces, the pulse in your throat rewrote your script. This is not hypocrisy. It is prediction error. Plans collapse when they ignore weather. Expect storms. Pre-build routes for the self who will be tired, hungry, tempted, overwhelmed, and create friction where that self will need it most. Rule 9. You project today's cravings onto tomorrow's needs. Projection bias. You shop while hungry for a week you won't live. You pack your schedule as if energy were infinite. You imagine your future self wanting what you want now, fearing what you fear now, and craving what tempts you now. Then tomorrow enters wearing another body. Groceries rot. Calendars snap. Promises bend. Accuracy improves only when you sample reality. Log your mornings, measure your work sprints, track your bedtime drift. Design for the self who shows up, not the one the mirror flatters at midnight. You keep outsourcing punishment to future you, like a parent delaying a grounding until next weekend. The mirror approves. It loves a clean reflection today more than a true reflection tomorrow. But the bill still arrives. Deferred discomfort collects interest. Deferred choices turn into emergencies that shame you into motion. Shame flares, then fades, then resets the loop. The stranger in the mirror shrugs. They were never consulted. So, you need treaties, not wishes contracts binding two selves who rarely meet. Alarms you cannot snooze. Shared calendars that reveal your promises to other eyes. Automated drafts that appear whether or not you feel like writing. Apps blocked. Behind codes held by a friend. These are not crutches. They are translators. You do not trust the stranger. You build rails so the stranger can only walk in the direction you already chose. Here is the quiet terror. You keep declaring, tomorrow I will be different. But if tomorrow is a person you do not know, how many times will you hand them your life and hope they value it more than you did? The open loop haunts the night. Some tasks end the moment you check a box. Others open a hallway that echoes until you walk it through. The mirror loves hallways. It multiplies them. You carry them to bed and call the echo anxiety. Rule 10. Unfinished goals stay loud. Zygarnik effect. Your mind tags incomplete work as urgent and keeps resurfacing it like a notification that will not die. This is why half-written emails hum behind your ribs. Why vague projects feel heavier than defined ones. The brain is not punishing you. It is protecting you, keeping the loop visible so it cannot vanish. The cure is not finish everything. The cure is to encode a next step. Write the exact action. Assign a time. Define what done looks like. Specificity convinces the nervous system the hallway has a door. Rule 11. Plans need triggers, not just intentions. Implementation intentions. I'll do it this week is not a plan. When it is 8 a.m. and I sit at the desk, I open the file and write one messy paragraph is a plan. If then, rules bind behavior to cues so you do not have to summon courage from scratch. The sharper the trigger, the less room avoidance has to bargain. Precision is mercy. It saves you 12 rounds of argument with yourself by making the first move automatic. Rule 12. Context is a key you keep forgetting. State and context-dependent memory. You recall best where and how you encoded. Ideas tied to one room refuse to follow you into another. Moods act like passwords. Stress locks the file. That is why breakthroughs vanish after showers. Why work mode is hard to summon in bed. Change the room and recall changes. Use a lamp, a playlist, a chair as the doorway to a specific identity. Your brain loves doors. Give it the right ones. The haunting is not mystical. It is mechanical. Loop shout until you either close them or trust they're held by a system sturdier than your bloodstream. This is why inbox zero calms the chest. Why a calendar lowers the voice in your head. Why a public promise quiets the hum. The mirror reflects every hallway at once. No wonder you cannot sleep. So build smaller hallways. End them quickly. Mark thresholds so the mind knows when to rest. Then prune deeper. Cut commitments until your loops match your life, not your fantasies. Because if your nights are filled with echoes, whose voice will you hear when you finally try to listen for yourself? The cage made of choices. The mirror pretends more doors mean more freedom. Often, more doors mean more circling in the foyer, touching every knob, never stepping through. Rule 13. Too many options paralyze action. Choice overload. When the set of possibilities expands, decision quality and satisfaction fall. You spend your attention on comparison instead of commitment. The cost of the best foregone option contaminates the one you pick. That is why you scroll menus longer than you eat meals, browse courses longer than you study skills, outline businesses longer than you build one. Constraints are prison. They are rails. Fewer options mean richer action. Rule 14. When everything matters, nothing does. Attentional dilution. Attention is finite. Split it across 10 priorities, and each gets a fraction too small to move. Studies call it limited capacity. Your life calls it mediocrity at scale. Spreading effort. Thin preserves self-image. I'm working on so much, while protecting you from the shame of focused failure. But the mirror multiplies fragments and shows you a mosaic that never becomes a picture. Take a main thing. Guard it. Let lesser things be properly lesser. Rule 15. Defaults decide for you. Default effect. In complex environments, you often accept the pre-selected box, the system's recommended path, the cultural script. Not choosing is still a choice. The default harvests your future while you congratulate yourself for keeping options open. Redesign your defaults. Make healthy food the first thing in reach. Make deep work the first hour of the day. Make your studio the only room with a comfortable chair. If the mirror must reflect something, arrange the room so it reflects the path you actually want. You drown in possibility because possibility lets you avoid identity. As long as every door is open, you never have to become the person who walks through one and leaves the others behind. Commitment exposes you to the grief of what ifs, but grief is the price of a life with edges. The mirror cannot grant you a boundary. You must draw it with your own hand. Write a not-to-do list. Give your goals a kill fee and a quit date. Decide which ambitions are museum pieces, beautiful to visit, unfit to live in. Then close the doors you will not walk through and lock them. Listen to the silence that follows. That quiet is not emptiness. It is usable space. If your freedom keeps you circling, is it really freedom, or is it only a wider cage you're afraid to see? The crowd in your head. You think you are alone with your thoughts. You are crowded with other people's glances. The remembered teacher, the imagined critic, the timeline's murmur. The mirror does not just reflect you. It reflects an audience. Rule 16. You mistake others' attention for a spotlight effect. You overestimate how much people notice your flaws, changes, and failures. You live as if a camera is always on, which makes risk feel like public theater instead of private. Practice. In reality, most people are busy with their own mirrors. Act accordingly. Prototype in small rooms. Publish imperfect work. Treat iteration as camouflage. The world is not staring. It is scrolling. Rule 17. You take your cues from the many, even when the many are wrong. Social proof and pluralistic ignorance. When the room is silent, you assume agreement. When a crowd moves, you assume knowledge. You follow the visible, even if everyone else is also confused. Online. This becomes the trend-chasing churn that steals your calendar. To exit, pick better rooms. Calibrate your compass by a few trusted minds, not 1,000 shifting faces. Everyone is not a mentor. Rule 18. Identity is a gravity well. Identity-based habits. You act to be consistent with the story you believe about yourself. I'm the funny one. I'm the procrastinator. I'm the night owl. I'm the gifted mess. Behavior serves belonging. Change that threatens identity triggers sabotage. You will forget, get too busy, or lose interest to avoid exile from your own narrative. Update the story first. Then stack proofs, tiny, daily votes for the person you're becoming. Make the mirror rehearse a new face until it sticks. The crowd in your head is not evil. It is just loud. It wants you safe in a role it recognizes, but safety that cancels. Growth is only a prettier word for stagnation. Curate the voices that earn influence. Give your future self a vote. Give your craft a vote. Give silence a vote. Then do something scandalous in the smallest possible way. Try the thing you would only do if no one were watching. If it bruises your image but feeds your life, keep it. If it fattens your image but starves your days, release it. Because if your choices are auditions for an imaginary crowd, who gets to live in your body when the curtain falls? The lie of feeling ready. You wait for a feeling to arrive like weather. You call it readiness. The mirror calls it delay dressed as virtue. Rule 19. Motivation usually follows action, not the other way around. Behavioral activation. You expect a surge of energy to precede the first step. In practice, friction is highest only at the start. After a few minutes of doing, the body warms, the task clarifies, and the mind softens. Action manufactures the mood you were waiting for. Treat the first 2 minutes like a key. Turn it, and the engine turns you. Rule 20. You overestimate how much starting will hurt. Affect forecasting error. You predict the beginning will feel worse and last longer than it does. The dread is a billboard, huge, loud, and rarely accurate. Run the experiment. Set a gentle timer and begin. Notice how quickly intensity drops. Label the sensation precisely. Anticipatory anxiety, not danger. Precision shrinks monsters. Rule 21. You confuse clarity with certainty. Tolerate ambiguity. You want all variables known, all outcomes guaranteed. The world never grants that. Clarity grows while moving. Plans stabilize after contact with the task. Choose a direction, not a destiny. Then adjust. The mirror will keep asking for guarantees. Give it progress instead. Start small. Smaller. A setup ritual. A single paragraph. A 5-minute sweep of the desk. Do the piece that proves you're moving. Then breathe. Let the next inch appear. Momentum is a feeling made by motion. If readiness never comes, will you keep waiting for a train that isn't scheduled, or will you lay the first meter of track and make the train arrive? The attention economy owns your lamp. Your attention isn't merely distracted. It's rented out. The mirror flickers as other people tug the dimmer switch. Rule 22. Variable rewards are designed to hook you. Intermittent reinforcement. Slot machine. Schedules, likes, pings, unpredictable feeds train you to check just once more. The dopamine spike comes from uncertainty, not from value. Put important work behind predictable reinforcement. Checklists you can complete. Streaks you can see. Sessions you can score. Rule 23. Novelty hijacks the orienting reflex. Attentional capture. Anything new yanks your gaze, even when new means trivial. Give novelty a corral. Batch it into short windows. Put your phone in another room. Make your work surface visually boring and emotionally safe. The goal isn't asceticism. It's stewardship of light. Rule 24. Context switching adds invisible tax, switching costs. Every flip between tasks burns time and quality while pretending to be efficient. Protect long stretches. One tab, one tool, one small outcome. Build a landing strip at the end of sessions. Write the next step so tomorrow's you can. Take off without a new flight plan. Choose where the lamp points. Name one target. Dim the rest. Let the room get quiet enough that you hear the work wanting to be done. Then keep the beam steady. If strangers can buy your spotlight by the minute, who is funding the thing you say your life is for? Pain misread becomes avoidance. You treat discomfort as a stop sign. Often it is a mile marker. The mirror magnifies the flinch and hides the finish line. Rule 25. Effort feels like failure when you expect ease. Effort heuristic inversion. Your brain sometimes equates hard with wrong. But in skill work, effort is information. You are at the edge, where learning happens. Reframe the burn as proof of growth. Stamp it. This is the work. Rule 26. You overestimate the duration of distress. Durability bias. You imagine, this will feel awful for a long time. Most spikes decay fast once you begin. Use surf language. Here comes a wave. I'll ride 90 seconds. Time limit the hard part. Waves break. Rule 27. You confuse threat with challenge, neuroception. The nervous system can misclassify safe difficulty as danger. So you freeze or flee. Bring cues of safety into the task. Posture, breath, warm lighting, a familiar playlist, gentle self-talk. Reduce perceived threat until the system allows approach. Lean in for one tiny rep. Let the body relearn that nothing exploded. Stack a second rep. If your map labels every hill danger, how will you ever discover which mountains are worth your lungs? The myth of willpower alone. You romanticize grit. You blame yourself when grit frays. The mirror forgets that architecture beats heroics. Rule 28. Environment eats intention. Situation strength. Put cookies on the desk and you'll eat them. Put drafts on the desktop and you'll write them. Make the desired action frictionless. Make the unwanted one clumsy. Design beats discipline. Rule 29. Pre-commitment outperforms self-talk. Ulysses contracts. Tie yourself to the mast before the song begins. Schedule with others. Deposit money you'll lose. Block apps with codes you don't own. Future-proof. The promise. Free will is strongest before temptation, not during. Rule 30. Rituals reduce startup costs. Automaticity. Begin sessions with a fixed sequence. Same mug, same seat, same 3 breaths, same first micro task. Ritual tells the body, we've been here, we know how. You won't always feel strong. You can always feel familiar. Make your studio a funnel. Let gravity do some of the lifting. Save willpower for art, not for avoiding tabs. If you keep expecting heroism to defeat architecture, are you building a life or a legend you're too tired to live? Memory is a biased historian. You believe what you remember because you remember it. The mirror edits and swears it's a documentary. Rule 31. You recall peaks, valleys, and endings, not totals. Peak end rule. One rough hour can define a good day. One sweet ending can redeem a hard session. Design your ending's finish with an easy win, a brief reflection, a pleasant cue. You will want to return to what ends kindly. Rule 32. You replace facts with coherent stories. Confabulation. The mind would rather sound consistent than be accurate. After procrastinating, you narrate I work best under pressure. Maybe you worked under pressure. Best rarely occurs there. Audit the story with data timestamps, word counts. Pulse not with ego. Rule 33. You remember what you rehearse, rehearsal and spacing. Rumination rehearses regret. Practice rehearses progress. Space the reps. Short, repeated exposures carve. The groove. Let memory become your ally. Review plans at the same time daily. Celebrate small completions so your historian records. Victories worth repeating. Write the truth down where tomorrow can find it. Let numbers humble the myth. Make your endings gentle. If your memory keeps editing you into a character you don't want to play, who is directing the next scene? Perfection as disguise. You call it high standards. The mirror calls it a costume that keeps you from stepping on stage. Rule 3-4. Perfect plans protect you from exposure. Defensive perfectionism. As long as the plan grows, the work doesn't. Have to risk being seen. Trade polish for prototypes. Publish drafts to small circles. Let reality grade you sooner. Cheaper. Kinder. Rule 35. Error signals are fuel, not verdicts. Error-based learning. Mistakes are data. Immediate feedback loops accelerate mastery. Seek the smallest loop. Attempt, detect, adjust, attempt. Shame stretches the loop. Curiosity shortens it. Rule 36. Good enough is the gate, satisficing. Define acceptable. Before you begin. When you reach it, stop. Ship. The next version can be better because the first one exists. Excellence is iteration, not immaculate conception. Set a boundary on polish. Let the imperfect thing walk into the light. Follow it with a better one. If you keep hiding behind the word standards, whose life are those standards actually? Protecting the work's potential or your image in the mirror? The trap of beautiful plans. You polish a map until the road feels walked. The mirror glows with routes, milestones, color-coded certainty. But maps are not miles. The body learns nothing while the hand decorates a plan. Rule 37. You underestimate time and overestimate control. Planning fallacy. Even experts routinely misjudge how long tasks will take because your imagination previews a frictionless path. No delays, no fatigue, no rework. Reality taxes every step. Counter by using outside view estimates. Base your timeline on past projects, not optimism, and add buffer like it's rent, not decoration. Rule 38. Fluency looks like understanding. Illusion of explanatory. Depth. When an idea flows smoothly in your head, you feel like you grasp it fully. Ask yourself to explain it precisely aloud on paper. Teach it to someone and gaps open wide. Replace comfort with evidence. Do a one-paragraph Feynman check before claiming you're ready. The mirror loves elegant vagueness. Reality demands clumsy clarity. Rule 39 planning can become a delay disguised as progress. Procrastination. By preparation. New notebooks, apps, templates, each gives a hit of control without contact with the work. Limit prep to a timed sandbox. After that bell, the only acceptable planning is the next concrete action. If you're still organizing after the timer, you're hiding. Shrink the map until one road remains. Step onto it with shoes, not highlighters. Let the plan be a door, not a house. If you can make a plan that feels like success, why risk the part where your feet have to prove it? Time expands to fit your fear. You give a task a day, and it swallows the day. You give it an hour, and suddenly it learns to breathe underwater. The mirror stretches time to the size of your anxiety. Rule 40. Work inflates to fill the container. Parkinson's Law. Deadlines act like lungs. They set the rhythm of your effort. Long windows invite sprawl, extra research, unnecessary polishing. Creative detours that look like care, but behave like delay. Set tight but kind containers. Shorter sprints with recovery baked in. Let necessity trim indulgence. Rule 41. You start late when the stakes feel high, student syndrome. If a task promises judgment, you delay until pressure forces action. The late rush masquerades as focus. Really, it is tunnel vision born of panic. Rehearse being seen sooner. Do a first ugly pass early and show it to someone you trust. Shame shrinks when feedback starts. Rule 42. The right unit changes how you move. Temporal reframing. Big blocks. Work all afternoon. Invite drift. Micro windows. 25 minutes on the draft. Invite entry. Use a metronome mindset-bounded sprints. Short rests. A written next step before you stop. The clock becomes a partner, not a fog. Set a container small enough to hold your courage. Begin where time can't sprawl. End on purpose, not by accident. If time keeps taking the shape of your fear, what shape will your life have when the fear is all that's left? The sunk cost siren. You keep paying because you've already paid. The mirror frames the past as a contract you cannot break. Rule 43. Past investment warps present choice. Sunk cost fallacy. Money, hours, reputation once spent do not return by spending more, yet you double down to make it worth it. Ask a clean question. If this were free to start today, would I choose it? If no, honor the loss by not enlarging it. Rule 44. Commitment escalates when ego feels threatened. Escalation of commitment. Public promises, identity labels, and rivalry make quitting feel like death. To counter, write quit conditions before you begin. Clear metrics, dates, and signals that will trigger exit without debate. Future. You shouldn't have to out-argue pride. Rule 45. Letting go is a skill, not a failure. Loss accounting. Name the gains from stopping. Recovered time. Reclaimed attention. Reallocation to higher meaning. Mourn in motion close with. A short retrospective. Document lessons. Archive with gratitude. Closure isn't weakness. It's stewardship. Cut the rope that is only heavy. Let the boat drift back into water you can use. Wave to the version of you that didn't know. Yet, if you must worship something, why choose the altar where your tomorrows are sacrificed to yesterday's guess? When measurement bends reality, you think numbers neutralize bias. Numbers, when crowned, become new biases with spreadsheets for robes. Rule 46. What gets measured gets manipulated. Goodhart's Law. Turn a metric into a target and the system contorts to hit the number while missing the point word count over meaning. Followers over community. Response time over resolution. Keep health metrics beside headline metrics. If a number can be gained, it will be. Rule 47. Tool shapes the task, metric fixation, and Campbell's Law. Choosing easy-to-measure proxies, hours at desk, simplifies dashboards and distorts behavior. Add qualitative checks, narrative notes, peer review, customer letters, your own felt sense after a session. If the mirror only reflects digits, you'll forget you're building a life, not a scoreboard. Rule 48. Track to learn, not to judge. Feedback versus surveillance. Data used for self-attack makes avoidance rational. Use gentle visibility, short logs, weekly reviews that ask what helped, not what's wrong with me. Measurement should invite curiosity, not court-martial. Count the right things. Let numbers be lanterns, not cages. Keep the soul of the work louder than the stats. If the metric smiles while the work dies, will you notice before the graph convinces you you're alive? The kindly lie of self-protection. You build little fires to warm yourself from the cold of being judged, then complain about the smoke. The mirror calls the smoke personality. Rule 49. You create excuses in advance. Self-handicapping. I didn't sleep. I'm starting late. I'm not really trying. You seed reasons so a poor result won't mean a poor self. Drop the sandbags. Try clean and risk learning what effort actually yields. Rule 50 beliefs bend. To reduce tension, cognitive dissonance. When actions and self-image clash, the mind edits one to soothe the other. You downplay goals you're avoiding, inflate values that cost less. Notice the edit. Choose alignment over anesthesia. Change the act or change the identity on purpose, not by drift. Rule 51. You avoid feedback that could help ego threat avoidance. The critique you dodge is often the hinge you need. Build friendly fire. Small, safe tasks with people tasked to be specific, kind, and honest. Rehearse receiving. Breathe. Reflect back what you heard. Ask for one actionable suggestion. Let growth sting without scarring. Stand in the cold air of accuracy. Let it bite and clear your lungs. Walk forward lighter, without the smoke. If you keep protecting yourself from the truth, what exactly are you protecting? The self you are, or the story that keeps you from becoming? The clock inside your bones. You blame yourself for running out of fuel. The mirror forgot to mention you are an animal with rhythms older than language. Rule 52. Your energy peaks and dips in cycles, ultradian and circadian rhythms. Focus crests. Roughly every 90 minutes. Daily alertness follows a clock tied to light. Schedule deep work at your peak and recovery at your trough. Fighting the tide looks like grit and feels like sand. Rule 53. Chronotype matters. Larks, owls, and the social. Jet lag. Some bodies wake clear, others bloom at dusk. Forcing an owl to sing at dawn produces guilt, not genius. Whenever possible, align key tasks with your natural window. If you can't, use scaffolds, bright light, movement, caffeine early. Dim light, screens off late. Rule 54. Rest is a skill. Deliberate recovery. Micro breaks, walks, breath work. Naps, these aren't luxuries. They reset attention, memory consolidation, and emotional regulation. Rest deliberately. Stop before you're empty. End sessions with a short note about the next step. Exit the room so the brain can close the tab. Treat your body like an ally with a calendar. Let cycles carry you instead of dragging you. Make rest part of the work, not a prize withheld. If you keep calling biology weakness, how long before the animal in you stops showing up when you call? The mask of control. You grip the wheel even when it isn't connected. The mirror loves that. It lets you blame yourself for weather. Rule 55. You feel control you don't have. Illusion of control. Tossing the dice harder does not change the dice. Refreshing the dashboard does not change the outcome. Yet the body relaxes when the hands are busy. You confuse motion with influence. Design your day to touch only levers that move something. Real. Inputs you can repeat, systems you can refine, relationships you can tend. The rest is theater. Rule 56. Control beliefs can be pointed wrong. Locus of control miscalibration. A healthy internal locus says, my actions matter. An unhealthy one says, everything is my fault. A rigid external locus says, nothing I do matters, and breeds learned helplessness. Calibrate with evidence. Track small cause gives effect chains. Watch what reliably responds to you and release what does not before it eats your mornings. Rule 57. You fear numbers you don't understand, probability neglect. Small risks feel gigantic when vivid. Large risks feel distant when abstract. Your attention auctions off your caution to whatever paints the brightest picture. Translate fear into frequencies. 1 in 10,000 becomes if a packed stadium. Did this daily for a month? Maybe 3 people. Precision cools panic. Cooled panic permits action. Open your hands on the wheel that isn't connected. Grip the tools that are. Let the storm be a storm without turning yourself into one. If you can't tell the difference between a lever and a decoration, how will you know where your life is actually steerable? The anchors you don't see. A random number on the wall leans. Your choices. A careless phrase tilts your day. The mirror insists you're objective while it nudges the frame. Rule 58. First numbers drag later judgments, anchoring effect. Initial figures, deadlines, prices, word counts stick to memory like burrs. Even when irrelevant, they pull estimates and choices toward themselves. Set your own anchors first. Decide ranges before seeing others' targets. Write your criteria. Before reviewing options, draft your fee before reading a client's budget. Rule 59. The box changes the thing inside. Framing. 90% success feels safer than 10% failure, though they match. Frame your tasks in approach language. Write 200 words I can improve, not avoid being unproductive. Approach. Goals mobilize, avoidance goals exhaust. Reframe problems as prototypes and watch energy return. Rule 60. A bad option can trick you into a worse one. Decoy effect. Presenting a clearly inferior alternative can push you toward the seller's preferred choice. Your calendar has decoys, 2 urgent tasks that exist to force attention towards someone else's metric. Spot decoys by asking, if the worst option vanished, would I still choose this? Set your own anchor. Name your frame. Kick out decoys. If the mirror can tilt your judgment with a number and a sentence, whose voice is really building your day? The echo of what's easy to recall. What comes to mind feels like what is true. The mirror equates volume with validity. Rule 61. You judge risk by memory, not math, availability heuristic. Recent headlines, personal stories, and vivid images dominate your sense of likelihood. You over-prepare for dramatic threats and ignore quiet ones. Keep a base rate card for your domain. Common failure causes, typical timelines, median outcomes. Return to it before you feel the answer. Rule 62. The dark is louder than the light. Negativity bias. Bad events weigh heavier than good. One's on mood, memory, and decision. Counterweight deliberately. 3 concrete positives for each sting. Gratitude written, not thought. Wins captured in a dumb list. So your historian has ammunition against despair. Rule 63. You forget the base rate neglect. You favor the specific story over the statistical field. A friend's success seduces you into thinking odds are high. A friend's failure convinces you the path is cursed. Combine both. Story to move you, base rate to guide you. Passion pilots, statistics steer, collect better echoes. Make the quiet truths visible. Let numbers share the microphone with your memory dot. If what you can recall decides what you believe, who gets to choose which memories are loud? The confidence mirage dot. The less you know, the more certain you may feel. The more you learn, the more the ground opens. The mirror prefers certainty. It photographs well. Rule 64. Incompetence breeds overconfidence. Dunning-Kruger effect. Early knowledge inflates assurance because you don't yet know what you don't know. As skill deepens, confidence dips appropriately, then rebuilds. Respect the dip. Pair beginners' courage with mentors' maps. Pair experts' caution with deadlines so they don't spiral. Rule 65. Forecasts ignore unknowns, overconfidence, and planning blind spots. You plan as if variability will behave. It won't. Add black swan buffers. 30 to 50% time. Slack for novel projects. 2 independent ways a goal can succeed. 1 pre-decided pivot if constraint X hits. Confidence backed by redundancy becomes wisdom. Rule 66. Calibration is a trainable skill. Confidence calibration. Say your odds out loud. I'm 70% sure. Track outcomes. Adjust future confidence toward reality. The aim is not to feel less. It's to match internal weather with external seasons. Don't hold your certainty lightly. Carry your humility like a compass, not a chain. Walk. If your confidence is loudest when you know the least, how will you hear the truth when it finally speaks? The story that swallows evidence. You are a narrative animal. The mirror stitches scenes into meaning and hides the thread. Rule 67. You prefer coherent stories to messy facts, narrative fallacy. After results appear, you explain them as inevitable. You forget contingency, luck, and invisible variables. Keep an alternative stories ritual. List 3 plausible causes, including chance. Humility protects you from brittle pride and unnecessary shame. Rule 68. You see winners and miss the graveyard. Survivorship bias. Advice from the successful excludes the silent dataset that failed. Balance inspiration with full denominators. How many tried? Under what conditions? With what support? Ask to see the boring processes, not just the highlight reels. Rule 69. The past looks obvious after it happens. Hindsight bias. I knew it all along is a comfort lie. Lock predictions before outcomes. A short note with expectations and reasons. When reality arrives, compare. Let the difference teach you, not punish you. Tell stories that leave the door open for evidence to enter. Let luck sit at the table. Plan like a scientist, not a prophet. If your favorite story about yourself can't survive new facts, is it a story or a cage? The gravity of scarcity. When time or money feels thin, your mind tunnels. The mirror narrows. Everything outside the tunnel blurs. Rule 70. Scarcity steals bandwidth. Mullainathan and Shafir. Urgent needs bills, deadlines, caregiving consume. Working memory and executive control. You aren't lazy. You're bandwidth poor. Build Slack as a deliberate asset. Simplify bills. Automate basics. Create quiet money buffers. Batch errands. Slack is not luxury. It's cognition. Rule 71. Tunneling invites neglect elsewhere. Time and attention myopia. Under pressure. You fixate on the nearest fire and miss slow burns, health, relationships, maintenance. Schedule far-sighted blocks immune to emergencies. Doctor, weekly planning, relationship hours. Guard them like rent. Rule 72. Scarcity makes bad deals look good. Opportunity cost neglect. When hungry, any calories look wise. When stressed, any yes feels necessary. Write the trade explicitly. If I take this, I forgo X and Y. Forced clarity saves futures. Widen the tunnel with planned slack. Plant guardrails around the long term. Name the hidden prices before you pay. If pressure keeps choosing your priorities, who exactly is running your life? The person you are, or the scarcity that visits you? The comfort drug, pleasure stabilizes, then it numbs. The mirror sells you more of the same dose and calls it happiness. Rule 73. You adapt faster than you expect. Hedonic adaptation. New purchases, status bumps, follow accounts, joy spikes, then flattens. Chasing novelty for mood is a treadmill. Shift targets from outcomes to processes. Mastery, service, craft. Processes compound. Trophies fade. Rule 74. Contrast distorts. Satisfaction, contrast effect. After bright lights, ordinary rooms look dim. After highlight reels, real days look dull. Control your baselines. Curate inputs, limit comparison windows. Reset senses with intentional boredom. Walks without audio. Meals without screens. Rule 75. Satisfaction needs meaning, not just stimulation. Eudaimonia greater than hedonia. Pleasure without purpose hollows. Align habits with values you can name. Build meaning reps. Daily acts of competence, connection, and contribution. The mood that follows is sturdier than thrill. Step off the treadmill and onto a path. Let meaning be the engine and pleasure the weather. Enjoy the sun. Don't worship a dot if comfort keeps asking for more of itself. When will you notice it has begun to eat you? The shadow you refuse. You exile parts of yourself, then chase them around the world. The mirror edits. The edited returns as fate. Rule 76. What you suppress, you express. Ironic rebound. Trying not to think a thought makes it louder. Don't feel anxious. Feeds anxiety. Replace suppression with substitution and acceptance. Name the thought. Breathe. Choose a small action that coexists with it. Permission dissolves pressure. Rule 77. The shadow projects. Jung's shadow projection. Disowned traits show up in others as irritation. Their arrogance, her neediness, his laziness. The charge reveals a mirror. Ask, where is this in me present, feared or denied? Integrate by admitting, then channeling. Ambition into craft. Need into asking cleanly. Rest into recovery. Rule 78 secrets. Tax your body. Concealment stress. Hiding identity, struggle, or desire elevates physiological stress and drains cognition. Practice safe disclosures. One truth to one trusted person, one step at a time. Honest air is medicine. Invite the shadow into the room. Seat it where you can see it. Give it work to do. If you keep banishing pieces of yourself, who is left to live the life you say is yours? The armor of independence. You call it strength. When you carry everything alone, the mirror applauds. It doesn't show the cost, how heavy loads shrink horizons. Rule 79. Other people lower. The brain's cost of effort, social baseline theory. When a trusted person is present, even silently, your nervous system perceives threat as smaller and hills as less steep. Cohn and colleagues showed that warm connection downshifts vigilance. Approach becomes cheaper. Translate this into practice. Co-work quietly. Text a start photo to a friend. Put a name on the calendar. Support isn't weakness. It is metabolic efficiency. Rule 80. Attachment patterns steer your planning. Attachment avoidance and anxiety. If closeness once burned you, independence becomes armor. If inconsistency once hurt you, reassurance becomes oxygen. Both styles bias decisions. Avoidant plans minimize reliance and reject help. Anxious plans overcheck and stall without feedback. Name your tilt. Then design counterweights. The avoidant schedules check-ins. The anxious ring fences solo sprints. Rule 81. Needing help can invert asking for help. Help negation. Under strain, the people who most need assistance often refuse it, misreading help as danger to identity. In work, this looks like heroic overcommitment. In study, falling grades plus, I'm fine. Pre-authorize help before, standing. Office hours with a mentor, a fail-safe buddy who steps in at predefined signals. A written if overwhelmed, do X card. Courage is accepting the bridge that exists. Drop some armor on purpose. Let the nervous system breathe cheaper. Air. Walk farther with someone in view. If independence is saving your image but costing your life, which one is actually worth protecting? The multitasking mirage. You think 2 roads mean twice the progress. The mirror splits the lane and calls it speed. Rule 82 switching has a toll gate. Task switching costs. Each pivot forces your brain to reconfigure rules and reload context. Even tiny toggles tab to tab, app to app tax working memory and slow throughput. Rubinstein, Meyer, and Evans measured the loss. Your day feels it as sand leaking from a cracked hourglass. Seal the cracks. Single tab sessions, grouped errands. One capture inbox for stray thoughts. Rule 83. Fragments linger after you leave, attentional residue. When you drop a task midstream, part of your attention stays glued to it. Sophie. Leroy named the residue. You feel it as a tug back toward the unfinished. Protect, clean exits. Write the next step before stopping. Mark a visible bookmark. Speak a one-sentence summary aloud. Clear endings create clean beginnings. Rule 84. Two demands can't clear one gate at once. Psychological refractory period. The nervous system cues decisions. A second input arriving too soon must wait until the first is processed. In practice, doing two things at once becomes two things done worse later. Build work like a metronome. 25 to 50-minute blocks. 5 to 10-minute breaks. One objective per block written in a verb phrase. Rhythm beats chaos. Shut the extra doors. Keep one corridor lit. Let depth replace motion. If scattering your light makes smaller shadows, why does your work keep staying in the dark? The mathematics of small wins. Grand vision seduce. The mirror loves the poster. Progress loves the ledger. Rule 85. Tiny visible progress is rocket fuel. The progress principle. Amabile and Kramer found that the single biggest day-to-day motivator is experiencing forward movement in meaningful work. A checkbox changes chemistry. Momentum becomes emotions engineer. Make progress legible. Daily done lists. Commit graphs, before, after snapshots. Motivation follows what it can see. Rule 86. You speed up near a finish line. Goal gradient effect. Hall showed that organisms work harder as they approach reward. Humans too. 5 stamps in. The coffee card accelerates. Manufacture finish lines everywhere. Subchapters, micro milestones, a 300-word lap. Near is a drug. Dispense it ethically. Rule 87. Keystone moves cascade. Behavioral momentum. Some actions make others probable. Laying out tools the night before. Opening the dock the same way every time. A 2-minute starter task. Build keystones that survive bad moods. Design for momentum, not heroism. Make the first inch cheap and the second inch inevitable. Score the day, not the dream. Let arithmetic beat adrenaline. Stack inches until they become ground. If you keep waiting for a tidal wave, who will? Notice the river you could have built with a shovel? The body votes first. You imagine the mind commands and the body obeys. The mirror hides the hand on the lever. Rule 88. Feelings are data from inside interoception. Your ability to sense internal signals, heartbeat, breath, gut tension predicts emotion regulation and decision quality. When interoception is muddy, signals mislabel as dread and delay. Train the sense. Brief check-ins. Where is the tightness? Paced breathing. Exercise that teaches rhythm. Accuracy lowers false alarms. Rule 89. The body tags options. With value, somatic marker hypothesis. Damasio proposed that prior outcomes attach bodily signals to similar choices. You feel wisdom before you can articulate it. Use the signal, but verify it. Write the reason your stomach says no. Test with small bets. Separate fear of risk from knowledge of misfit. Gut plus logbook beats gut alone. Rule 90. Safety cues unlock approach, vagal break, and social safety. When? The environment signals safety: warm light, soft eye contact. Predictable sound, your parasympathetic system permits exploration. When cues scream threat, avoidance is rational. Curate your habitat. Tidy, light, scent. A start ritual that tells the animal, we're safe. You aren't fragile. You're encoded. Adjust the body, and the mind changes its vote. Lower the sirens, and the road appears. Begin. If your body has been whispering the map, why are you shouting over it with plans you don't follow? Words as levers. Language is not a label. It is a tool that moves weight. The mirror prints captions, and you forget the captions steer. Rule 91. Names nudge behavior. Labeling effects. Call a task chores and you resist. Call it reset, and you restore. Call yourself a runner, and shoes tie themselves more often. Use labels carefully. Identity claims should be earned by action, but action can be invited by identity. Choose words that summon the person you are becoming. Rule 9-2. Reframing changes the heat of feeling. Cognitive reappraisal. Gross and others showed that altering interpretation shifts emotion. This anxiety is fuel, cools panic. This criticism is a map, shrinks shame. Reappraisal is not denial. It's accurate relabeling that restores agency. Write a one-line reframe before high stakes starts. Rule 93. Abstract words delay. Concrete words move. Control level theory. Distant goals feel abstract and moral. Near goals feel concrete and doable. Translate get healthy into walk 20 minutes after lunch. Translate build the business into email 3 prospects. By 10:30, lower the ladder until your foot finds the first rung. Edit the script. Then act the scene. Let verbs do more than adjectives. Make sentences that pull. If your vocabulary can chain you, why not forge a few keys? The panopticon within. Imagine a tower at the center of your mind, a watcher you invented to avoid mistakes. The mirror loves the tower. It promises control. It also steals breath. Rule 94. Being watched changes the work. Evaluation, apprehension. Anticipated judgment tightens muscles and narrows options. You optimize for safety, not truth. Counter with audience. Design. Prototype in private, then show to one kind expert, then a small circle, then the world. Stairs, not cliffs. Rule 95. Surveillance kills intrinsic drive, autonomy undermining. When you feel controlled metrics staring, software ticking motivation shifts from want to have to. Deci and Ryan's self-determination. Work is blunt. Autonomy fuels vitality. Restore choice where you can pick sequence, method, or scope, and keep some work unmeasured so the soul can breathe. Rule 96. Pressure makes skills look at themselves. Choking under pressure. Under scrutiny, procedural skills become consciously monitored and degrade. Your swing stiffens. Your tongue trips. Protect performance with pre-shot routines. External focus cues. Aim for that corner. An acceptance of nerves as normal noise. Let the body run its program. Dim the tower's light. Build for courage, not for surveillance. Create. As if the first draft is a secret, because it is. If the watcher in your head writes your lines, who gets credit for the life on stage? The fog of uncertainty. You want a straight road, painted lines, a map that never lies. The mirror promises certainty if you stare hard enough. Uncertainty laughs softly and keeps the horizon blurry. Rule 97. Ambiguity feels riskier than it is. Ambiguity aversion. When probabilities are unclear, you avoid action even if the expected value is fine. Vague tasks look dangerous. Clear, but worse options look safe. Translate fog to figures. Define good enough. List 3 acceptable outcomes and cap the downside with small bets. When uncertainty shrinks into ranges, approach becomes possible. Rule 98. The nervous system overreacts to the unknown. Intolerance of uncertainty. Your body treats not knowing like being hunted. Heart. Rate climbs. Imagination fills with claws. Train uncertainty tolerance. Run micro-experiments with open endings. Practice, maybe, without immediate closure. Journal 3 alternate explanations for the same event. Curiosity lowers cortisol's microphone. Rule 99. Overprotection can backfire. Misapplied precaution. Avoiding all risk breeds fragility. Muscles, skills, and confidence grow under load. Choose calibrated exposure, a stretch that stings but doesn't snap. A deadline that presses but doesn't crush. A public test in a small room. You are not glass. You are adaptable tissue. Name the fog. Walk by landmarks, not perfect maps. Let uncertainty be a field you learn to cross, not a wall you worship. If you must know before you move, who profits from your stillness? The truth or the fear that wears its mask? The halo that lets you slip. You do one good thing and grant yourself a pardon. The mirror shines the halo and hides the hand reaching for the indulgence. Rule 100. Doing good licenses, doing bad, moral licensing. After progress a workout. Savings, a kind deed you feel entitled to offset it. Junk food splurge, sharp words. The mind balances imaginary ledgers. Replace I earned it with I am it. Identity-based framing, I'm the kind of person who weakens the trade. Keep wins from turning into tickets. Rule 101. When the goal is blocked, you settle for lookalikes, goal substitution. If the real target is hard, you swap in a similar, easier one, organizing your desk instead of writing, buying books instead of reading. Catch substitution by asking, does this change the world outside the frame? If not, call it what it is. Warm-up, not victory.